Hey everybody, Economic Ninja here. I hope you're doing well. I want to do a video today about this new legislation that just passed by the Senate Democrats called the Inflation Reduction Act. And I'm going to tell you right now, it will have nothing to do with reducing inflation. And the reason why I say that, hopefully you guys can hear me right now, is because they are going to authorize the Federal Reserve to loan them money. All right, they're going to take that. They're going to create $700 billion into existence. It didn't exist yesterday. When this passes, I want to make that very clear. Okay, it just passed the House, and then it's going to it will need to pass another vote before it's signed into law. Okay, but I want to give you a glimpse because whether this gets authorized or not, and I want to explain something too. The tie-breaking vote was Kamala Harris. Let's make that very clear. So half the people were against it, half the people were for it, and Kamala Harris made it happen, right? So now it's got to go back for one more vote, and then it can be signed into law. But they're going to create $700 billion out of thin air to fight inflation, okay? So I want you to understand that when money gets created, it does not immediately translate into inflation. And if quantitative easing, all of those programs, quantitative easing 1, 2, 3, Operation Twist, and so on, taught us anything, it's that creation of money doesn't always create inflation at once. It's the velocity of money needs to act along with the creation of money, and then you have inflation, all right? But this, I do believe, will create inflation the way they're gonna spend it, and it's not going to translate to lower payments. And this I wanna make sure that you understand too. These are key words that are being thrown out there, this Inflation Reduction Act. It's so that they can sneak a bunch of other stuff inside that bill, okay? So let's make that very, very clear. That is what's going on behind the scenes. They're just using the word inflation, they're using the word insulin, they're using all these hot topic words to take advantage of the needs of the people of this country to be able to pass other things behind that, okay? So real quick, we're going to dive into a story actually from CNBC, and it has to do with this because it's stating that consumers expect inflation to slow down, which is a big win for the Fed, okay? And I do not believe that is the case. You've been hearing me say that I believe that inflation is going to get worse and worse and worse, and that it's going to get a little crazy. So to respect somebody's privacy, I'm going to go ahead and cover this up real quick here so nobody sees anything, all right? And and now we're back. So my point being is this: always want to respect people's privacy. People cruising around the pool in the morning, having an awesome swim. I should be down there right now. Then the last thing they need is a beluga whale found in the swimming pool, though, if you know what I mean. All right, here we go. Some key points from this, and I'm going to link this story below. The New York Fed survey showed that respondents in July expected inflation to run at a 6.2% pace over the next year and a 3.2% pace over the next 3 years, all right? Now, it's really neat. That's a Fed survey, right? You remember, the Fed has been consistently wrong when it comes to inflation. Remember, they had a mandate of maintaining inflation over, around 2%, and then they lost control, okay? So if you think for a second that they have any grip on the reality of inflation and where it's headed, you know what, you may want to just turn this video off and go watch videos of cats. All right, another point, that makes a big drop off from the respective 6.8 and 3.6% results from the June survey. Now again, even going back to the GDP, where we've seen, hey, it's supposed to be positive, and then it's a negative, like it total drop a couple quarters ago, right? And then again, it was supposed to be a certain number, and then it was not what they wanted, all right? The consistency of being wrong is astounding, so we should continue to remember they're just gonna be wrong, okay? Expectations for food increases fell at the fastest rate in the survey history and the second fastest for gasoline prices, all right? So if you think for a second that gasoline prices are gonna subside, right, which they have, oil has, right? So gas prices have come down, but that's that dead cat bounce I believe that we're about to see. That's gonna, or what's it called? That regression, because people started to slow their spending, and we saw demand destruction, right? There wasn't as much demand for gasoline, and so they slowed their spending. But we're also seeing that in food, where people would normally buy a certain type of food And now what they're doing to save money is they're buying the lesser brands, right? They were going to the second-hand brands where you would go and get your high-end breads. And now you're going, you know what? I just can't afford that. I'm going to go with the lesser brand that's made with lower quality ingredients to save money, okay? So I think you're seeing people curbing their spending right now. But the problem is what you're about to see is because of a chokehold. And again, we're going to refer back to this Inflation Reduction Act that is going to start to squeeze out, because it is going to squeeze corporations. And I'm not talking about the big boys. This is going to squeeze LLCs, mom and pop corporations, the small companies, all right? The C-level contractors, things like that. That is what you're going to start to see the squeeze, because they're going to go after them, all right? You're going to see that swing, the pendulum swing back up. On top of that, you've got supply chain issues on the horizon right now, not only with Ukraine and Russia, but with China and Taiwan, okay? That is going to be in the forefront this fall, I believe, and that is going to be absolutely mind-boggling. So it says here, the consumer outlook for inflation decreased significantly in July amid a sharp drop in gas prices. Please put in the comment section if you think that your gas prices dropped sharply. Okay, it's probably dropped as much as Biden promised he was going to save you in inflation. What was it on gas? What, 25 bucks a month? So if you think that that's a big deal, if you think gas prices dropped sharply, let me know in the comment section. If you don't think they did, because this is just rhetoric, this is just propaganda to try and ease your fears, right? To get you to stop preparing, then let me know in the comment section. It says that, amid a sharp drop in gas prices and a growing belief that rapid surges in food and housing also would ebb in the future, the New York Federal Reserve's monthly survey of consumer expectations showed that respondents expected inflation to run at 6.2% pace over the next year and a 3.2% pace rate over the next 3 years. Now, while those numbers are still very high by historical standards, they mark a big drop-off from the respective 6.8 and 3.6% results from the June survey. Now, I want to explain something. We are in a long-term, when I mean long-term, I'm thinking the next couple of years inflationary wave right now, okay? Because the supply chain needs to heal itself. Federal Reserve, central bank policy, and other central banks around the world policies have to heal themselves. And they're not getting on top of inflation fast enough, which means we're going to continue to do this with prices, consumer prices. So right now, all this story is on the chart to the top of this inflation wave, like what we saw in the late 70s, which finally topped off with Paul Volcker spiking rates in 1980, 81, somewhere around there, sorry. We see these ups and then downs in these government percentage rates. And that's all this is documenting, this little down. But I'm telling you, in my non-professional advice, a professional opinion, almost said professional, right? And I say professional only because I've been an investor for over 21, 22 years, and I've been able to learn a thing or two by reading a bunch of books and going to certain schools and learning the schools of hard knocks, how money creation does affect inflation and consumer sentiment, right? But I'm not a professional. Don't take my advice. I'm just a dude with a Brohawk, a dream, and this was the only kind of coffee. I'm not even going to show the label. You can only tell what kind of coffee this is around. Okay, so my point being is this. This is just saying it's coming down just a little bit this month, but get ready for next month, right? Oil prices dropped, but they dropped because of futures trading on the stock market. And get ready, they're going to go again, because we're just one more geopolitical event away from a $120 barrel of oil, all right? Now it says here, now this is what's really interesting. Now they talk about all the inflation numbers and how great they are because they came down significantly. Even though they're super high, as far as historical standards, they came down a lot just recently. It says right here, though June, food prices rose over 10% over the past year. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, they are still expected to climb 6.7% over the next 12 months. Okay, so let's just explain that. Now think about that. So when it comes to the real things in life that you need, food, those are still climbing at a rapid rate, rapid rate. And they're saying, but that's expected to drop off because it's going to only climb by 6.7% over the next 12 months. No big deal. Remember when the Fed was trying to maintain inflation at 2%, and now we've got their best case scenario is 6.7% food inflation over the next 12 months? That means we're gonna be in for some hairy times pretty soon. So what do? Buy some extra food. Gold should be doing great right now, but right now the narrative is that the dollar is strong. Why? Because all the other currencies are total crap too, but they're in bigger hot water than the dollar right now, so they're falling faster. So it makes the dollar look strong. So hedge against inflation, do everything you can, keep your head up, because trust me, we're not out of the woods yet. This is just kabuki theater. All right, guys, that being said, I thank you so much for watching. The Economic Ninja is out.